I've been sitting on this for years. Here's what I know. Okay, when you see a title like that, you know you're in for something good. This isn't just a headline, it feels like a promise. You know, a promise to finally cut through all the noise in the startup world and get to the stuff that really matters, straight from someone who's been deep inside the action. And it all comes down to this one question, doesn't it? It's the one that probably keeps a lot of you up at night. We're just bombarded with these massive success stories, right? The huge funding rounds, the flashy exits. But what's the real story? What's the unvarnished truth of what it actually takes to build something from scratch? Because that's where the real story is. It's way beyond the hype, way beyond the headlines. The argument here is that most of the startup advice out there is kind of like a tangled wilderness. It's a mess of conflicting stories that makes it almost impossible to figure out which way to go. So let's start by talking about this world of startup noise. Think about it. We're surrounded by books, articles, podcasts, all of them promising the secret sauce to success. But honestly, it's just overwhelming. All the real, useful knowledge gets completely lost in the static. So who on earth can cut through all that noise? Well, this is where our guide for this journey comes in, Simona Gulisová. She's an insider journalist for Forbes Slovakia, and for years, her entire job has been to talk to everyone, from the founders who made it big to the ones who had to quietly shut their doors. And this quote, this tells you everything you need to know about her approach. This isn't about reporting from the sidelines. No, this is about getting into the rooms where the actual decisions get made and having the guts to ask the hard questions, the ones everyone else is just too nervous to even think about. And yeah, her credentials really speak for themselves. 5 years completely immersed in the startup and VC world. But here's what's so valuable. It's the full spectrum of her experience. She's not just talking to the winners. She's also uncovering the stories of founders who failed. Having that dual perspective, that is incredibly rare. So all of this brings us to the core mission. And to really stand out, you have to be super clear about what you're not. This whole project is for the builders, and it carves out its own space by basically rejecting the status quo. And this comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got your typical startup media, all hype, buzzwords, celebrating every little funding round. But on the right, that's the unglamorous reality. It's the insider knowledge, the messy spreadsheets, the constant rejection, and those tough, uncomfortable conversations. The focus here is 100% on substance. Which leads us to the big promise. Absolutely no hype. So what can the builders, the founders, the operators actually expect to get from this? Well, you can expect to see the real mechanics behind all the PR spin. You're going to get insights directly from the people writing the checks and really honest takes on what's working and what's broken in the system. It's kicking off with a focus on Central and Eastern Europe, and it's all about quality over frequency. But the most important promise of all? No noise. I mean, how powerful is that? If I don't have something worth saying, I won't say it. That's a serious commitment to your time as a reader. It's basically a pledge that every single piece of content is going to be valuable and intentional. What a breath of fresh air, right? But you might be asking, why now? Well, timing is everything. This project isn't just happening in a vacuum. It's a direct response to a massive inflection point that's happening right now in the startup world, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. And here it is. This is the core problem that needs to be solved. As the ecosystem in that region gets more mature, the gap between what's happening behind closed doors and what the public actually knows is getting wider and wider. This whole thing is about closing that gap and showing builders how the game is really played. It all ends with this simple, powerful line. Let's build something worth reading. It's so much more than a tagline, right? It's an invitation to a community. It reframes learning itself as an active building, which kind of leaves us with one final thought. In a world that is drowning in content, what will you choose to build with real valuable knowledge?